from that, let's talk about NHL hockey. We do need to talk puck because the trading deadline is just around the corner, and we've had 2 monster trades already, and there's a ton of names posted for those of us that follow NHL hockey out there. The Toronto Maple Leafs made a massive trade with the St. Louis Blues to take their captain. St. Louis is in fire sale mode. They get Ryan O'Reilly. This guy scores a ton of points. This guy is big. This guy's tough. He joins a Maple Leaf front line that includes high-scoring Austin Matthews, includes Mitch Marner, includes William Nylander, and includes John Tavares. This is a really gifted offensive team that Toronto's put together, and now you add Ryan O'Reilly there. The New York Rangers made a second trade. They made another trade with St. Louis. Blues in fire sale mode. St. Louis ships away up and down an erratic player and personality, Vlad Tarasenko. This guy has had injury problems of late. This guy was a gunner, a sniper before he got hurt, and now the Rangers add him to the roster. Now, we're not done. Trading deadline is March 3. Keep an eye up the road in Anaheim. The Ducks are in last place, one of the worst records in the league. The Ducks I think, are just going to move whatever veterans are left and get them out of there. I don't know if the Ducks are going to trade the all-star goaltender John Gibson, but he's just getting bombarded. He's looked at the most shots of anybody in the league. His statistics are not what they used to be because he's looking at so much rubber. He's probably going to be on the block, but it would take an enormous price for somebody to take on his contract, and the number one picks would have to give up to get Gibson out of there. I think a couple of their defensemen are going to be traded. I think they're going to try to move veteran forward Adam Henrique, but he's got a $5.8 million contract. I think the Ducks are going to be active. The Kings are looking for another defenseman. The Kings have a weird situation. These are the final months of the contract of their star goaltender, Jonathan Quick, who's not playing very much. Might he get moved somewhere else to give him a lease on life with a good team? Maybe he could backstop into the playoffs and then use that to get a contract extension. Ton of names out there. If you follow NHL hockey like I do, there are going to be some more significant deals. I think last year at the trade deadline was an all-time record 32 trades involving something like 78 players and 25 draft picks. NHL trading deadline has kind of become what the NBA trading deadline is and what NFL happened at NFL and Major League Baseball trading deadline. So that's a hockey update. What Toronto just did, what the Rangers just did, pretty impressive. And it has to be impressive because if you look at the standings, and nobody's paid any attention to this because you're out here on the left coast. On the right coast, the Boston Bruins are 45-8-3.
Whoa.
45-8-3. So the Rangers and Maple Leafs are chasing down the Boston Bruins. Go ahead, fire a slap shot.
Yeah, so I think it's exciting with these leagues, the way they make these trade deadlines just really dynamic. And it's happening in all the major sports. But I want to ask you, Lee, I mean, again, I'm not a big hockey guy.
We're going to change that.
Yeah, okay, we're going to work on that. And I know that's in your roots. But tell me, just give me an overall state of the union of the NHL. I mean, how's the league doing attendance-wise, revenue-wise? What's the status?
It's not the equal to the NBA, the NFL, or obviously Major League Baseball, but it's made progress under Gary Bettman as the commissioner. They have a collective bargaining agreement that forces you to spend money. It's called the Florida spending. They have a problem, though, because what we've seen in the way that NHL teams operate, you're bad and you're young and you get high draft picks and you build, and if you don't make mistakes, you get pretty good. And those guys' contracts after 3 years or their fourth year have to get renewed. Well, when they get renewed, the price tag goes up. And suddenly everybody's making on your team is making $8 million a year because their contracts all came due at the same time and they all got good at the same time. Well, you can't have that because then you got the cap. And now you got to shed contracts, et cetera. So the league's got a financial system that works. I wish Major League Baseball would adopt some of those things. I think the league is fairly healthy in its pockets. The Blackhawks fans are the Blackhawk fans, even though they're going through a bad rebuild there. The Boston Bruins have been a legacy franchise. Toronto, for all the money they have and all the money they've spent and all the trades they've made, Toronto's not won the Stanley Cup since 1967. Go think about that.
Wow.
Now, they think they're positioned to do that, although Boston and the Rangers may have something to say about that on the front end. But, the Pittsburgh Penguins, legendary franchise with Sidney Crosby. Prior to that, Mario Lemieux. but they've gotten old around Crosby, and Crosby's not a young kid anymore, and there's injuries there, and they got cap problems. So the salary cap is kind of weighing into the equation as to how you get this thing done. The one thing I'll guarantee you, though, when we get to May and we get to June and the NHL playoffs begin, you won't see me, and don't bother me on Twitter because I'm watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, because the playoffs are absolutely electric. And I think the Stanley Cup is the toughest trophy in sports to go get, because you got to play through 6 series to raise the cup.
6 series. Wow, that's a lot. And you know, when I have dabbled and checked out hockey, the playoffs have been amazing. And you hear a lot of national sports broadcasters talking about the intensity of play, the energy, how it just takes this huge leap forward when they get into the playoffs. So yeah, I'm looking forward to learning. I just need to pick a team, right? You know, and then kind of follow that team. So I'm not sure who it should be. Maybe I should go back to my Bay Area roots and be a Sharks fan. How are they doing this year?
They're in the midst of rebuild. They're going to be active in the trade deadline. They'll be trading away their stars. But you like beer, so you'll like sitting with me watching the playoffs.
Right on.
All right, let's